Welcome to The Circle, the all-new podcast for fans of field hockey, presented by former Hockeyroos player Ash Nelson in Perth. Ash played 205 games for the Australian national team since making her international debut in 2007 against Japan. She has taken home gold medals from 2 Commonwealth Games, as well as 2 Champions Trophy silver medals and 1 from the World Cup. Ash was also a member of the London Olympic Games squad. During her career, Ash developed special relationships with other players, and she'll be sharing her passion for the game and unique insights in these exclusive conversations.
It has been said that whatever you hold in your mind will tend to occur in your life. If you continue to believe as you've always believed, you'll continue to act as you have always acted. If you continue to act as you've always acted, you'll continue to get what you've always gotten. If you want different results in your life or your work, all you have to do is change your mind. Nothing rings more true for Pippa Hayward, New Zealand hockey player. Her name might not be synonymous with international superstar, but her incredible story is one that needs to be told and heard. Persistence, change and mastery of the mind are all elements that have contributed to allowing Pippa to play over 130 games for New Zealand, and all the meanwhile find purpose, happiness and take control of her life outside of sport. So with all that being said, Pippa Hayward, welcome to The Circle. Thanks so much for taking the time to share your story.
Hi, thank you for having me, Ashley.
Like any good story, let's start right at the very beginning in the coldest place known to man, Dunedin. You were born and grew up in Southland. I've been there once. It didn't stop raining. Can you paint a bit of a picture for the listeners about this place and where you spent your first few years of your life?
Okay. Yes, I was born in Dunedin and then raised in Southland on a sheep and beef farm. So it is one of the coldest parts of New Zealand. Sometimes it does stop raining if you get a good day. No, it's a great place. Beautiful scenery. It really kind of represents probably the world view of New Zealand. Beautiful green, lush hills and mountains and snow. So I was raised down there until I was about 11 and then moved up to Christchurch.
So what kind of kid were you, from what you can kind of gather from your family stories?
Well, I think my granddad has this really funny story of me, but I don't think many people find it that funny. I'm the only grandchild that my grandmother has ever smacked out of about 15 of us. So I think I was a bit of a troublemaker. I definitely wanted things my own way. My poor older sister always moved sideways to let me do what I wanted to do. So I was really lucky. But yeah, I think I was quite a bolshy little kid with curly hair and red cheeks.
When did you start playing hockey, and was it something that your family actually played or your sister played?
So I started when I was 4, and I come from a little town called Riversdale, and from memory I think there was only really hockey that you could play. There wasn't really a netball team or any other sports, and it was kind of expected that you'd play hockey. So my sister played when she was about 5 or 6, and then I always came down with a stick and wanted to join in. So Saturday mornings on the frozen grass, I'd be there trying to join in, even though I don't think it was my team.
I bet your older sister loved that, did she?
Yes, probably. It was like, just wanted to get rid of me. But no, it was good fun. There was me and another girl who I played hockey with until I left Southland. And then we played against each other when we were a bit older. We were both the same age and we were quite competitive. So we used to always practice or play when our sisters were playing.
So you started hockey from a very early age, and you're probably quite talented from the sounds of it from a young age as well. Did you always know that you wanted to go on and play for the Black Six?
It was always a dream of mine, yes, to represent New Zealand. And as a kid, I used to have all the posters and would get so excited if I ever got to go watch them play. And one of my earliest coaches when I was down in Southland was a lady called Pat Barwick. She coached and played for New Zealand. I think she might have even been the captain. So it was definitely something that I wanted to strive for from when I was a child.
So aside from playing hockey, how were you at school? Were you naughty at school as well as at home?
Well, yeah, I had this one really good friend who I'm still really good friends with now, who was a bit of a troublemaker, and when you put us in the same room, we're not a good combination. I quite like to talk. I get easily distracted. So I remember one time we did something, I don't know what it was, but the teacher didn't like us and sent us to the principal's office, and we were 8. and I had to do gardening at lunch.
Ah, there you go, where you developed your green thumb perhaps.
Yes, yeah.
So you moved from Southland, as you said, and moved to Christchurch. What was your progression with hockey when you were in Christchurch?
So Christchurch is quite a strong hockey hub. Like it's got quite a strong history of quite successful hockey players, and I was lucky enough to get a scholarship to St Margaret's College, and the coach at the time was Chris Arthur, who also played for New Zealand, and I think she coached. And anyway, so there was a huge emphasis on hockey. So that was for high school, but I was there for a couple of years in primary school and managed to make the Collier Trophy team, which is the under 13 Canterbury team. So from when I was about 12, I was kind of in the Canterbury program, I suppose. And as you get older, you progress through the ages. So I was pretty lucky to probably make that team. I don't think I probably deserved it. So from then, I went to school, St Margaret's, like I said, and went to Fed Cup, which is quite a big secondary schools tournament, and have played for Canterbury ever since.
So where was the progression to actually playing at an international level from Canterbury?
So I played for the women's side for Canterbury, and then from, I think, a tournament maybe in 2012. So I think NHL after London Olympics, a lot of the girls took time off or they retired. So there was a few positions available, and we actually we won that tournament with all the Olympians not there. So they had a trial after that tournament, which I got invited to. So I would have been about 22, and from there I got named in the national side.
You were a promising junior, but you didn't appear at Junior World Cup, which is usually the sort of succession, Junior World Cup and then going on and playing for the Black Sticks. Why was that you thought that you didn't really get selected in that Junior World Cup side?
I think there's probably a number of reasons why I didn't make it. I was first year out of school when the team went away. I think, was a bit lazy and just got through a lot on natural talent, I'd say, when I was about 17, 18 or like younger, and I kind of relied on that and didn't. I think my work ethic wasn't where it needed to be in order to get picked for that team. Yeah, I wasn't committed, I would say, enough to actually be picked. I was having too much fun at university, and
I like your honesty there. Clearly, you were just enjoying being a university student.
Yes, absolutely. First year, I was in uni hall, and it was just Wednesday, Thursday, Friday nights were too much fun to turn down and stay inside and get an early night. So I think there was a number of reasons, that probably being the main one, and just thinking it would happen. I think you kind of can fall into that trap. Maybe when things have become a little bit easier to you when you're younger, you kind of expect it to keep happening like that, whereas life doesn't do that. I mean, you learn life lessons throughout your career, with sport, with work, with friendships. It just doesn't happen. You've got to actually work hard at those things.
So what made you have that shift in mindset to be able to play for the Black Sticks, from go for not being selected at Junior World Cup to actually making your debut? What changes did you have to make? I
had always been the person in my age group that probably was always selected without sounding too confident. But as a kid, I was always probably picked at the A team, and then in secondary school, I was picked in the first 11 when I was year 9. So that was the first year of high school. And then when I got to be a little bit older, and I started, other people started overtaking me, and people started making the New Zealand women's team, and they started obviously making the Junior World Cup, and people that were younger than me started making it. And I didn't feel like I really had improved that much. And I think it kind of just maybe was a bit of a reality check that I wasn't as good as I probably thought I was, and that I needed to make a change. And if I wanted to actually represent my country, I needed to make sure that I earned it. And I think someone like Mark Hager, who's our coach at the moment, is definitely not someone to just hand out. Like he's not one just to give an opportunity if you don't earn it. So I definitely think I changed my mindset and worked a lot harder, got a lot fitter. I went to, in 2009, I think it was 2010, my second year of uni, I spent 6 months in France and had too many baguettes and put on quite a bit of weight, came back very unfit and played NHL, and honestly they would have been better having 10 players on the field. And I think I missed out of everything that year, which was not surprising. And I just think I realised, like, if I want to achieve something that I'm going to be quite proud of, I really need to put in the hard work.
Any significant memories from your debut, or was it like mine? Mine was just a blur, and I think I ran around for about 30 minutes and didn't even touch the ball.
Yeah, I think it was a bit like that too. You actually start to question whether you've ever played the sport before. You're like, what is this? I think I was just so worried about everyone knows that our coach is quite a vocal coach, and a bit like your one, I think,
yes.
Back a couple of years ago. And anyway, so I think I was just probably holding on to every single thing he was saying and trying to do it, but actually doing very little at the same time. So, no, it was against India, and I think our debut was in April, I think. Oh, terrible memory. But it was very exciting. I think there was about 7 or 8 of us debuting at the same time. So I don't think the quality of the game was good. The spectators would have been quite disappointed with their $20 ticket that they had to purchase, but it was a great experience.
Sounds like you sort of wiped it from your mind a little bit, but you've gone on to do great things anyway. So you had to move to Auckland, or is it a choice to move to Auckland to be with the main training group?
I mean, technically, I suppose it is a choice, but I think at the same time, not really. The coaches up there, all the management staff, all the girls were there. There was kind of a bit of, put it honestly, a bit of pressure, I suppose, to move up. And I think that it's necessary to a certain extent. The way that other hockey teams in particular are going around what direction they're moving in around the world, because a lot of the other teams are centralised, they're all together, they've got quite intense programs, and if you want to be able to compete and stay at the top, you've got to be training together. And so I think there was definitely pressure to move up, and I think it was probably a wise decision for me at the time. Even though I had made the team, I still probably my work ethic and how hard I was willing to push myself definitely was not at the level it needed to be. So moving up to Auckland was a really good decision for me for hockey, and personally I think it was good because I was studying, but I was not studying at the same time, if you get what I mean. So yeah. It was definitely a good decision for me.
So you made your debut and things seemed to be going along fairly nicely, but then there was a period of time which you just sort of seemed to, I guess from a hockey player's point of view, just drop off the face of the earth as far as competition goes. What was that time in your life sort of all about? I think it was about 2014 perhaps?
Oh yes, I remember it very, very clearly. So I probably had a bit of a dream start in the squad. I made obviously the tour against India, and then I made every tour after that for the next 8 months, I would say. And I was playing okay hockey, like definitely not at the level required, but like for a person that just started out, I was getting game time, and I suppose I was doing okay. But then I went on holiday.
Back to France for more baguettes by the sounds of it.
This time it was Spain. Too much sangria. No, I actually came back after that, and first week back I pulled my quad, and I was out for 8 to 10 weeks. And after that we had, and I was already picked for Oceania Cup and World League tournament in Tucumán in Argentina. And I really wanted to make sure that I was back for that. I missed Oceania because of my leg, but I was back for Tuckerman, which actually in hindsight was probably the worst decision I ever made because I just wasn't ready. But it could have been the right decision. It could have been the best decision I've ever made based on what happened what happened after that. But I pushed myself to get back into the team for that tournament and ended up having the worst tournament of my life. I often talk to people about it, and I seriously think that they definitely would have been better having one less player over there. And when you feel like that, you definitely lose so much confidence, and you feel like you're really not contributing to the team at all. You feel like a bit of a burden. So after that tournament, I ended up getting dropped for the next tournament. And over summer, I worked quite hard to get back to full fitness. But then first week back, we had fitness testing, and I got a PB for my yo-yo. And then later on in that week, I pulled my quad again. So it was definitely really, really difficult times because I felt like I'd worked so hard to get back to full fitness. So then 8 weeks out again, and the first training back, by this stage, mentally I was struggling. And then the first training back, I remember being so anxious and so nervous. So over this time, and because of hockey and also personal reasons, I developed quite bad anxiety, and I was having frequent anxiety attacks that could last anywhere between like half an hour to an hour, and they would just come on, and I wouldn't know why, and it was just not a nice time. And that reminds me back when I was playing in Tuckerman, I was studying full time because we don't get paid, so we have to study. I was studying to get an allowance to be able to live in Auckland. So uni was just going downhill, and I ended up doing really bad in that semester. So it was just a combination of factors. But anyway, back to the next year, I remember my first training back, and I was dragging out in a PC, and I couldn't get it right, and it was slow, and it was going off target, and it was my first training. And after 8 weeks, and then I remember the coach saying, come on, Pippa, like my daughter could drag faster than that.
Just what you needed at that moment in time.
That's what you need. It was just, you know how you get that lump in your throat, and it's just horrible. Yeah. And I remember just starting to cry. And one of the other girls, Patria Webster, was like to me, do you want me to go? And she could see that I was quite upset. So she went to drag out, and then the coach said, no, keep going until she gets it. And it does snowball.
Absolutely.
And I remember getting into the car, and I know that you've had similar experiences, where you just burst into tears and you're like, I never want to play hockey again. I hate it. I hate this. I hate everyone. And it's just awful, and you can't really escape that feeling. It's always with you. And I think all these things start coming back, like I've spent so long to get here, and it's nothing like I expected it to be, and you start questioning yourself and whether you're even doing it for the right reason. So it's not a nice experience.
All of us experience some level of anxiety, whether it be waiting for a job interview, waiting to sit an exam. I do injecting as well, and that's pretty awful. You get a bit of anxiety about that too when you're lining up and having to make sure it's straight and fast, otherwise everything else falls apart. But we might get like sweaty palms or hands start shaking. For me, I find it a little bit hard to focus. What did a panic attack or an anxiety attack look like for you?
Yes, that's a really good question. It actually physically affected me quite a lot. I felt quite sick. I lost my appetite, and I'd get quite emotional. I'm quite an emotional person. I cry during really sad ads on television. So, I would cry on the radio when someone's won a prize. So I feel quite sick, and I'm quite shaky, and I'd probably try and hide. You just lose, in terms of hockey, you lose confidence. And I just remember one time I kind of broke down one night for no reason. I think my boyfriend at the time, we were doing a long distance, and he might have been going home. And I like to think of myself as a strong female that doesn't need a man, but But I think he was heading back to Christchurch, and I just had a complete and utter breakdown and anxiety attack that I was hyperventilating, which tended to be quite common, for an hour, and I just couldn't calm myself down, and I couldn't explain why I felt the way I did. And I think at that point, actually, he was the one that pushed me towards seeing someone. And I think it was then that I just realised that I just didn't want to continue. I couldn't keep going on like this, and I just didn't want to. I just wanted to kind of get rid of it. It's almost like this thing you just want to kind of wipe off or like shake away, or something that's part of you that you can't. Like the more you try and fight it, and it kind of almost gets worse. And I definitely decided at that point that I needed to do something about it, and called up the sports doctor. I think the next day, got an appointment with him, went into his office, and he said, "How can I help?" And then I broke down in tears, and I said, "I can't do this anymore. I need help." And he said, "Well, I've got the woman for you," and put me in touch with a clinical psychologist who has experience in sports psychology. And but high performance sport have this part that they can contribute. Like if someone needs extra help, there's finances available for you to see someone outside of high performance sport. So so then I went to see her.
Do you think that, you know, as a sport, we're quite poor at realising when somebody's going through this? Do you think that there were signs or cues that should have been picked up by the teammates, your coach, or even Hockey New Zealand to kind of help you a little bit earlier, or are we getting better at that now?
Yes, I do. I think they should have picked up on it, and they should know that when you're asking someone to pick up their life and move to another city, or even just enter into an environment which is so competitive, and it's not a natural environment to be part of. Like, I've always really struggled with the concept of high performance sport, because it kind of goes against a lot of natural feelings as humans that we possess, I think. Like, you know, even though it is part of an environment, you are fighting within that environment for your position, and you're all about winning, and it's like your coach is constantly telling you that you need to be better, or you're not good enough, you're not fast enough, you're not fit enough. And then all athletes that I know are so self-critical, and if you just have to look at all the like quite high-profile sports athletes, you know, the amount of pressure that's put on them, not just from them, not just from the coach, but from outside, from a public point of view, and then you're not even considering the pressure that they put on themselves, and they're constantly in the spotlight. So I think that the world in general is beginning to understand, not just in sport, but the importance of mental health and mental well-being and mindfulness and meditation and all those different techniques that you can use. So I think in general, yeah, it is getting a lot better, but I think that, and I think in our environment, we as a group are really, as a leadership group, and the senior players in the team, we're definitely stressing how important mental health and a good mindset is in our team, because I think it reflects on the field as well. Like, it's just so interconnected, and it's such an important part that, like, if your mind is clear, and if you're happy, and if you're in a good frame of mind, it's definitely going to then transfer onto the hockey field. So yeah, I do think it's getting better, but I don't think they dealt with it in the right way. I know numerous girls in the team that have really struggled with it, and unfortunately some of them, it might have been the reason why they probably didn't carry on. And I think it's, you know, you're not just dealing with hockey, you're dealing with someone's life, and they're putting everything into it, and I feel like, yeah, support around that is essential.
Well, that's it. And you train so hard physically that we need to take care psychologically as well. You know, it's that 50-50 sort of balance, isn't it? We spoke earlier on, and you were recounting this story to me, which I found quite amazing. You said at your lowest period, you said that you had a moment where you felt like your house was collapsing. What do you mean by that?
I quite like this theory because it's quite simple and it's quite easy to apply to your own life and to talk to other people about. I like to think of myself as like a as a house, I suppose, and that I have different pillars that are keeping me up, and I can't rely on one pillar because then the house will fall over. So I think a lot of athletes in particular put all the energy and focus into their sport, which, I can understand why they do it, and it kind of, I suppose, demonstrates in a coach's eyes like commitment and dedication, and you'd do anything for it. But at the same time, you're actually, in my opinion, you're compromising and sacrificing other parts of your life, and you're actually probably doing yourself an injustice. I like to think that every sort of different aspect of your life is just as important. So whether it be education, friends, family, work, a social life, being able to just relax and do the things you enjoy, like reading a book. I'm a bit of a nerd. I love Harry Potter. It's one of my favorite.
Touche, my friend, touche.
So I know that when I feel like I need to have a alone time where I need to relax, I like to put Harry Potter on, or I like to listen to the audiobooks. But I think it's really, really important, and I think if you don't look after those different pillars that keep you up, you're going to fall over. And I think that's what happened to me when I moved at the end of 2013, start 2014, was that I was just focusing so much on hockey, and my uni was not going that well. I didn't know many people in Auckland. My family weren't here. I didn't take enough time to kind of reflect and enjoy what I was doing. And I also think that we quite often associate other things as getting in the way. But something, if you look specifically at uni or work, I think that it's a really good way of empowering people. So by studying, by working, you're actually gaining a lot of knowledge, and with that, it kind of generates natural kind of endorphins, because if you're learning something and you're gathering information, you actually feel quite good about yourself. You feel like you're developing as a person, and who doesn't want to develop as a person, and who doesn't want to grow and learn? So I think uni for me is actually a really good way of me taking control of my life, because we live in an environment in high performance sport where we're being told what to do, what to eat, where to be, and we're told we're not this, we're not good at this, we're not good at that, and everything's quite controlled. Whereas if you go to a situation where you're in control and you can actually kind of empower yourself by learning, or by working, or by taking just control. I know that when I go on tournament, the fact that I can actually choose when I want to go for a walk, or if I want to go for a coffee, as silly as it sounds, you're making a choice, and we all like to be able to have a little bit of have that control. So that's why I think it's really important. And for young players, I cannot stress it enough that if you want to be around for years, and if you want to enjoy your sport as much as you do now, and in 10 years' time, if you still want to love it, you really have to look after all those different areas of your life and really start to value it and see the benefit of having a well-balanced life.
Make sure that you've got a good, sturdy house from the sounds of it. Have those foundations there.
Foundation.
For you, how long did it take, to get over that anxiety and then get back into the team and progress from there?
So I started seeing Paula, the psychologist, must have been quite early on in the year, and I went to her throughout the year, which was great. I probably had 15 sessions with her over the course of that year, and I think she was great. She was an outsider with a fresh perspective, knew a little bit about our environment, and was able to help me kind of accept the anxiety, and as well as that, I was prepared to kind of work at it. So I became quite into yoga. I looked into meditation and mindfulness. I think I started doing the Headspace app, which a few of the other girls have used. And I like to talk, as you can probably tell. So people were like, "What?
When will this ever end?"
Yeah, I'm like, "Oh, yeah." So I think I like to talk to different people about it. So when you open up about situations, and my parents are great, so I could talk to mum and dad about it. And I think over that course of that year, I started focusing on other things. I started enjoying hockey a lot more. I didn't feel as anxious because I was actually working at it. We had this great idea, this great concept Paula told me about called the law of opposites. So it's a little bit about what I was saying about uni and how it empowers you. So the reason why I feel anxious or why I feel a bit stressed is because I'm disempowered. Mm-hmm. So opposite to that is to empower me. And the reason why you're a bit sad, if you're sad, the opposite is to feel happy. So what made me happy? I needed to figure out what would make me happy. So again, like Harry Potter, or hanging out with friends, or reading a good book, or going for a walk and just like kind of experiencing nature would be an example. And these other things, like if I was, I think, the angry might have been that you needed to be empowered. But if you kind of figure out how to, if you're feeling a specific way, well, why am I feeling that way, and what's the opposite to that? And maybe I could just start doing the opposite to try and get me out of that mindset. So that was a little thing that I used that really helped, and it was quite simple. So I think, back to kind of your question, I've got a sidetrack again, but I kept seeing Paula for a bit, and then I actually ended up getting dropped from the national squad because I was still in the squad because it goes year to year, and I got dropped the next year, and he named 19 people, and he had and there were 2 tournaments coming up. There was an Australian tournament against Australia and a series against the States, and I talked to Mark, and we'd because me and Mark we do get on quite well, and I talked to him, and he told me what I needed to work on, and then the series against Australia, I think, was first, and I ended up playing quite well, and he pulled me into the squad after that. And then ever since then, it's kind of, I've tried to just slowly progress up and up and up, and yeah, been in the squad since.
Yeah, and you've moved into a leadership position, and leadership can be a very difficult position sometimes to be in, but you've had many wonderful leaders, including ex-captain Kayla Sharland and long-time player Emily Naylor, who are just wonderful opposition as far as I'm concerned to play against. What was it that made them such successful leaders?
Great, and I think both of them will go down as two of the greatest hockey players New Zealand's ever produced. I think Emily has got the most caps, and Kayla, I think everyone in world hockey knows who Kayla is. I think they really epitomise what it means to actually be a sports athlete, and the way that they really played it because it was what they loved to do, and they were so passionate about it. And it was not about going to the Olympics. It wasn't about traveling the world or kind of being a black stick, whatever that means. But I think it was more about putting on that black shirt and putting your best performance out every single game. Like Kayla had this saying that it's not about the quantity of games you play, but the quality of games you play. And you've got to make sure that every time that you go out there, you're not just counting caps. You're actually making a difference and putting in a good performance. And I think that's one thing she did. She just led by example, and she was so passionate and just wanted it so badly that you just didn't want to let her down. You couldn't, if you felt like you didn't perform that way, you couldn't even look her in the eye. You just felt so guilty, and that's sort of like respect everyone had for her. And I think Emily was the same. Like, she was such a great person to have in the team, and her positive attitude and personality was just like kind of infectious. So they were so modest. So they really created an environment where you were part of this Black Sticks team. You weren't there to get 10,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely. The New Zealand hockey team's long been regarded probably as one of the best counter-attack sides with speed and scoring prowess. How do you want the team to be regarded and seen as for other countries?
Yeah, we do have that, which is why it's quite surprising that I'm still actually in it, because I think I'm one of the slowest people out in the hockey field.
You need versatility out there.
you need a change. You don't want to be too obvious. I think at the moment we're not a very consistent team, which is something that we've been trying to work on. So I would like opposition to think that when they play New Zealand, they're going to have a tough battle, and it's going to go right down to the wire, and it's a team that will never give up, and you're always going to get a good game. You don't. It's not some games or some teams you might think, oh, I wonder who's going to turn up today. But yeah, so I think a hard working team that never gives up.
All right, we're just about at the end, Pippa, so I've got some quick fire questions just to lighten the mood a little bit. Okay, so answer truthfully. Most hated team to play against and why?
Holland, because we've never beaten them.
Fair enough then. If you had to play for another team, which one would it be and why?
Well, it wouldn't be Argentina because the uniforms would look awful on me. Germany. I don't know why. I just did them.
They seem nice. All right. Would you rather sprints or long distance running?
Long distance, I'm better because I'm so slow, but the distance sounds nice with short. These are not short answers. So.
Would you rather take a one-on-one or watch from the halfway?
One-on-one. He never gives me a chance though. Maybe he might listen to this.
Okay, and finally, just on Mark Hager, moustache or no moustache?
Oh, I've never seen him without it. None. I want to see what it looks like. Just get rid of it. Might make him look younger.
I love it. Pippa Hayward, I appreciate your honesty. Thanks so much for joining me on this really amusing chat on The Circle.
Oh, thank you. I've thoroughly enjoyed the experience.
You've been listening to Ash Nelson on The Circle. If you'd like to know more about women in sport, why not head to the WISP website at www.wisports.com, where you can find plenty more podcasts and interviews about female athletes around the world.